So US President Joe Biden pardoned Jamaica's first national hero Marcus Garvey on his last full day in office. But I don't think it matters that much. Why do I say that? Stay tuned. I'm Dionne Jackson Miller, and I've got the tea. Okay, so a statement came from the White House on Sunday, January 19, 2025, saying that US President Joe Biden was issuing a posthumous pardon, meaning after his death, for Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Garvey. Garvey had been convicted of mail fraud in 1922 in the United States. That is, according to the US Postal Service, mail fraud is a scheme to get money or something of value from someone by offering a product, service, or investment opportunity that does not live up to its claims. And that was supposedly in relation to selling stock in the Black Star Line. So yes, this pardon is being hailed as a big deal because Garveyites, advocates, legal scholars for years had been calling for a pardon and or exoneration for Garvey. Now, people had hoped it would have come from US President Barack Obama, seeing that he was the US's first black president, but nope. So Biden did it. And just to make the distinction, what happened here was a pardon, a presidential pardon, which is within the power of the President of the United States. It's not an exoneration. All right. So a pardon means essentially that you're being forgiven for something you did that's wrong. An exoneration done by a court actually clears you of a previous conviction that you had. And seeing that the consensus is that Garvey was arrested on trumped-up charges and that he was convicted by a kangaroo court, he really should be exonerated. I remember, though, hearing a U.S. official say some years ago that given the kind of backlog they have in the courts, it's hard to justify spending the time and the money it would take to go through an exoneration process to clear Garvey, who is dead. And I can't see what they mean. Now, I do appreciate and applaud the work of people who have spent years working on this, right? Howard University said that for the last 15 years, one of their professors, Justin Hanford, has been working with Garvey's son, Julius Garvey, on this issue of a pardon for Marcus Garvey. And they said that the effort to convince President Biden to pardon Garvey included letters from 21 members of Congress, mostly, as you probably can expect, from the Congressional Black Caucus. And the letter said exonerating Mr. Garvey would honor his work for the black community, remove the shadow of an unjust conviction, and further your administration's promise to advance racial justice. So big up to them. But I have to tell you, neither this pardon from the US president or the idea of an exoneration from the US courts really matters that much to me. So it's not that I'm opposed to this, right? I wouldn't be fighting it. I've done a whole heap of interviews over the years on my programs about the campaign for the pardon, the campaign for the exoneration. But the more I've thought about it over the years, I just don't think it matters that much to me if the US courts, if the US president, if the US government wants to admit that Garvey was wrongly convicted or not. For me, at this point, it's just part of his story. It's part of his wonderful history, his wonderful, rich history. The story of how this black man from Jamaica in the 1920s went to the United States and amassed this following of thousands of people. Imagine him in the 1920s leading a crowd of 50,000 in a parade through the streets, right? And how the US authorities were so afraid of him that they just had to get him out of the way. Once we acknowledge him, I don't care if they do. And what is more important to me is the work that we are doing here at home to honor and to acknowledge Garvey. So let me acknowledge, we have named some stuff after him. Recently, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation named a council room after him because he used to be a councillor in the KSAC. We have Marcus Garvey Drive, we have Marcus Garvey High School. We're very good at naming things and we're very good at issuing statements. Where we fall down is in some of the fundamental actual work. And I'm talking here about the stuff that's right in front of us, the stuff that is 100% within our control And I'm talking here about teaching Garvey's philosophy in schools. You see, while we're running up and down, lobbying the US government and creating excitement over this pardon and continuing to call for an exoneration, all of that is all very well and good. But we're not handling our business here at home. Like everything else, what we've done here is, it's like peanuts. It's performative. It's not substantial. I cannot tell you how many years we've been talking about teaching Garvey in schools. So, in 2012, big announcement, right? This was 13 years ago. Half a generation. The proud announcement that the teaching of Garvey finally was being officially launched in schools. Then Education Minister Ronald Thwaites said this. He said, today, resolutely and over all the grades of schools from pre-primary up to grade 11. You hear what I say? Pre-primary up to grade 11. We say as a people that we honor our own and that we will uplift the values and attitudes of our people. We will remember one amongst us who struggled so that we could have that second emancipation, which is our right and our heritage. Sound good, not true? So what is Dionne complaining about? Well, tell me then why 8 years after that launch, 8 years, meaning a child would have finished high school, start high school and finish high school. 8 years after that launch in 2020, historian Professor Rupert Lewis was calling for Garvey to be taught in schools. Tell me, how? Tell me why in 2023 we now have another proud announcement by another education minister saying we will be teaching Garvey to almost 2,000 children. Alright. Now, this wasn't even a national program, and even worse than that, it wasn't even a Ministry of Education program. Education Minister Favour Williams says the initiative was first introduced to the curriculum unit of the ministry in July 2022 by a private entity. I don't understand. What do you mean first introduced? So what to the 2012 launch? What to that? What to the work that was done for the 2012 launch? In 2024, we were told that the program was now in 23 primary schools. Look, I'm not trying to discredit the work that these people are doing, right? A little work certainly is better than no work. 23 schools certainly is better than 0 schools. I am saying, though, that we're a pack of jokers in this country. We're teaching Garvey in 23 primary schools, and we have 1,010 primary and secondary schools in Jamaica. So we're not serious. We can't move forward on anything because we take this project approach to everything, all right? We make a big announcement. We have something going for 2 years in a limited area, in a limited way, and then the money run out, everybody go home, and then in another 2 or 3 or 5 years, we get some more money, and we start the whole thing all over again. It's just a cycle, and we keep repeating it over and over, and that's why we can't reach nowhere. Look, there is no fundamental belief by the authorities over the years in this country that Marcus Garvey's beliefs are worth permanent incorporation into the curriculum of our schools at all levels. You know how I can say this? Because we're not doing it. It's all about announcements being made for the media, some work that's done, and then everything falls apart until another set come in another 5 years and start the whole thing all over again. Time we did, they run up and down to the US about pardon and exoneration and happy now with this pardon and creating excitement over whatever foreign government wants to do or not do. We would be sorting out our own business. It's just part of this phenomenon in Jamaica where we are so much more concerned about external validation than internal validation. Once somebody of foreign says something about one away, it's a big thing, right? But you say something here at home, nobody pay you any mind. We're just we're still foreign-minded. We're still outward-looking. We're not inward-looking. And the issue of Garvey is just one more example of this, along with the Jamaican language. But another video for that another day. There are just so many wonderful ideas that Garvey had that would be of so much benefit to our young people nowadays, many of whom are just struggling with identity and with self-worth and with self-esteem. There is a lot to be learned from Garvey in that regard. We need to get serious about the things that are within our control. Teach Garvey in school at all levels in a fun, learner-centric, activity-based, practical way that will really mean something to children. Then you can come to me and create excitement about what some other government do in some other country. So Garvey said, "Up ye mighty race, accomplish what ye will." There you have the magic word right there. Will. Where's the will? Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dionne, and that's the tea.